Welcome everyone to another episode of the L2R2 PlayStation Podcast. My name's Fonzie, joined by my co-host, indie game dev, and my UK bro from another mum, Callum Monroe. Callum, how are you?
Yeah, good. Just trying to not melt at the moment. But yeah, good.
You're melting hearts out there, Callum, but now it's your turn to... Nice. At least you get good weather over there, though.
Yeah, it's
Wasn't it like
nice.
crazy windy a while ago?
Yeah, it's kind of like bittersweet because I'm one of those people that will be like, oh, I can't wait for it to be hot, and then when it's hot and like I've spent a couple of days, at the beach or something, I'm like,
right.
Oh, I'm bored of this now. But yeah, it's kind of bittersweet because I'm looking out blue skies and I kind of want to go out and spend some time with friends, but still not allowed. So got to sit in this sweaty cabin with my boiling hot computer and just sweat away.
You can stare out the window and just watch people go by.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, yeah. What you been up to this week? What you been playing?
So I've been playing a little bit of Persona 5, still sort of trying to get through that. I haven't been playing it as much as I had been leading up to now, but still chipping away at it. Also been playing some Alien Nation as my PlayStation Now game.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm absolutely loving. Like it's so fun. And I just did Dead Nation before that, and Alien Nation is such a better game. I'm really enjoying it.
Now that dev, was it like House Marquee?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Same dev.
Yeah, Housemarque. Yeah, and they did Resogun as well, which is one of the PS4's like first games.
I really dug that one.
Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, Alien Nation is so... I don't know what it is about it. It's just so... It just feels so right all the time when you're playing it. Like, it just always feels... Like, it feels like they've really, like, tried to make it as fun as possible for the player. Like, the HUD is perfect. There's even, like... it's got an active reload, like in Gears of War, but it shows the reload in two different places on the screen, which I think is really clever, because you're not always going to be staring at your, like, ammo counter. So sometimes it might be easy to like mistime it or whatever, but there's like another part in like the opposite end of the screen where it will show your active reload bar as well, so no matter where you're looking, you always know when to time it, and it's just so much fun. It's got like drop in drop out online, so people I'm just playing through the campaign, then people like drop in and play with me, and it's like really loot based, so it like so like if you choose like a higher difficulty, it like increases your chance of getting better loot, and it's all very like statistical, but it's like really nicely laid out, and I love like that kind of thing, especially when it's loot based, like seeing all these different stats, how you can like upgrade things, and it's just really awesome. I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, that's mostly what I've been playing, and I've been playing some games on my PC as well. I've been playing some Gears 5. Which is obviously not very PlayStation centric, but yeah, I've been enjoying that as well. So yeah, I've been playing quite a bit, just trying to sort of like broaden my horizons a little bit and play through some different things.
Yeah, although you mentioned Gears, that reminds me, there's something. It wasn't a huge like news story, but was it last week somebody uploaded footage of, I want to say Gears 3 working on the PlayStation 3, and it was like the intro to it, and so apparently somebody got it to work on that, but it was never intended to release. It's a Microsoft property, but that was interesting.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of that. It was like super anxiety inducing because obviously it was such like an early build, and it was just like so broken, and like it was so horrible to look at sometimes. Like I felt really sorry for the person playing it because they were like being subject to such like juddery frame rates, and I don't know if you saw like sometimes like all the models would like stretch out, and
no, I didn't see that.
Strange things would happen, but yeah, that was pretty cool. I didn't really follow it afterwards because I know that somebody came out and said that it wasn't a thing, but then there was something saying it was a thing, so I don't really know what the conclusion was about it. But yeah, it was pretty cool to see. I'd love for that to happen. I love Gears of War. It's such a good franchise, but it's very American, so it's well placed on Xbox, I think.
I think you're right, especially those original ones. They're just very like bulky, huge dudes that are like gym bros, and so it's even the nerdy scientists are like, they're like bulging out of their like lab coats, and it's great. I love it. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I played anything else? Just kind of dipping through those different titles?
I don't think I feel like I have, but I don't know what it was. But no, they're the sort of main ones that come to mind. But yeah, I mean, out of the three, Alien Nation has really surprised me. It's so much fun. Yeah, really good. What about you?
So I got my PC running as well, so I'm trying a bunch of different stuff. I tried actually last night I played a fairly decent chunk of, for the first time, Black Mesa on
Oh
PC.
yeah,
So that
yeah,
was the
yeah,
Half-Life 1
yeah.
remaster remake thing. It's really dope. It looks really good, and it plays, I wouldn't say like it plays slightly better. It's basically like the
Mm.
same, bones of, they're using like the Half-Life 2 engine, but it
Yeah,
moves the same way as a Half-Life game. It's maybe a bit
sure.
more floaty than I like,
Yeah,
but like with your movements and stuff. And then I'm also like, I started on the keyboard and mouse, and then I switched over to the to a gamepad, so I
yeah,
could just sit on the couch, and I lugged my whole PC like over to the living room
yeah,
and
yeah,
plugged it in.
yeah,
But so the movements are even a little bit more janky. You just have to like adjust it. But
yeah,
no, it's super cool and really moody, and I really like how they build up the tension with, starting this experiment, then it goes wrong and the whole place turns to shit, and it
yeah.
keeps getting weirder and weirder. Yeah, I dig. I need to actually follow through and finish it, because I've never actually finished that original Half-Life game.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really interested to see it. Actually, it's something that I keep like forgetting about. So I think that's a good reminder. It's something I need to look at picking up, because I'm really interested to see. I haven't played the first Half-Life in years, so it probably wouldn't be as much of like a real sort of where I can compare certain things. But I'm still interested to see it in that engine and in that sort of better visual
Yeah,
representation.
and it looks really good with this new, or it's the Half-Life 2 engine, or the Source 2, I want to say.
Yeah,
But it's still like, you could tell they did work to the lighting. It looks way better than the original Half-Life 2 did. Even though they're using that same framework, so they've taken the care to like adjust it and to make it look better.
yeah.
But yeah, I need to actually like play through. I've played Half-Life 2, I don't know how many times, but I've never actually sat down and finished that first one.
Yeah, yeah. I think Half-Life 2 is much more of like a spectacle, isn't it? It's a lot more. It's one of those games that like you always think about Half-Life 2 when someone mentions Half-Life. Not obviously Half-Life 1 is a great game, but Half-Life 2
Right.
is just like, it's kind of like the Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 1. Like one of them is like
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
much more superior than the other. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's really
because you
cool.
can see the devs like coming into their own, and figuring out like, okay, we started with these ideas, we can actually take it up a notch. Maybe
Yeah,
stuff that they wanted to do in the first,
yeah,
now they can actually go full blast into that second game.
yeah. I don't know if you saw on the topic of Half-Life, somebody tweeted about the new update that's just come out for Half-Life Alex, and they're like holding a
Oh,
bottle with like the liquid in it.
I haven't seen that. I
Uh,
just saw a thing like right before we went live, that they
yeah,
added like these crazy water physics out of nowhere for no reason. But is
yeah,
there like footage of it?
yeah, yeah. I'll try and find it and I'll send it over to you. But it's awesome. It's and it seems to be it seems to be something that somebody did like just over lockdown because they were like bored. Like
Is this a
one
mod,
of
or
the
is it like
devs.
an
No, no, it's
actual
someone who works
supported?
for Valve. But he said that this like shader has been his hobby over lockdown. So it's kind of cool to like see that maybe this is something he wouldn't have been able to do if it wasn't for lockdown. So I'm just going to try and share this. Let me
So
send it
I
to you.
found, I think that's basically what's going on in this footage here. So
Yeah,
your character is, yeah, shaking a bottle, and
yeah,
you see the liquid react
yeah,
in a super realistic way.
yeah. It's
That's
insane.
and
And
that's a shader. That's not like physics going on in there. That's just
yeah, so I'm sure there'll be physics going on, I'd imagine, but I think the shaders like where you can kind of like see like bubbles coming up. You can see sort
oh,
of
I
like there's
see.
like slight foam at the top as well, which is it's just so clever.
Oh yeah, the
Um,
bottle has bubbles in it. Wow,
yeah,
that is
and
insane.
it's something that's like liquid, especially in like drinks, is always something that never looks right. You can have like a game with like the most amazing, even like pre-rendered cutscenes, and
Yeah,
then they'll like take a drink and it'll just look completely like wrong.
right.
But and that's like in game, so that's like updating in real time. It's not even something that's pre-rendered and meticulously done to look good in that moment. That's something that's just happening because of how you're moving it. Yeah, it's
That's
so
nuts.
cool. I think it's so awesome.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, if I needed more of a reason now to play that
Yeah,
game, I
yeah.
gotta play that fucking game. At
And
least
just as an
now.
update as well, it's
Yeah,
like
that's
it's
awesome.
awesome. Yeah.
Hopefully, it's not like the game ran fine on your rig, and now the water physics push it over the edge where you just can't play it anymore.
Yeah, it reminds me of the first Tomb Raider reboot. I think that was one of the first games to have that like special new hair technology.
Yeah, that was a big
I
deal.
can't remember what it's called now. I had a name to it. And I remember when because the first Tomb Raider reboot was one of the first games I played on my PC, and this is like back when my PC was massive pile of trash. And every time I like enabled that thing in the settings, it like just nothing, like
just
it was
like
not happening.
stuttering. Yeah.
Yeah. So see, I mean, I imagine if it is a shader, it's probably not even something you'd have to enable. It'll just be like part of the game now. Which is it's just so cool. And yeah, like I said, I think it's cool. Like the guy who posted it said, like, this has been my lockdown hobby. Like, it kind of makes it out that if he was at work without all this going on, like, he'd be set on to doing something else. But because he's at home, maybe a bit bored, he's sort of gone into that, which is really cool. It shows what people can do when they've like got extra time to work on something.
Yep. And they're usually constrained. It's on to the next thing. They don't have the time to work on, personal projects, side projects. It's just whatever the the director is kind of facing them towards. That reminds me, also on the topic of Half-Life, there was a doc released recently. Do you ever watch No Clip? It's the Daniel Dwyer, I want to say his name is, from he's from everywhere. I think he worked at GameSpot for a while too, but he has that No Clip YouTube series where they do these docs and like deep dives into different games and behind the scenes. He followed it's the dev that does Dishonored, and I'm blanking on their name for some reason. Arcane, yeah. So it's a full like deep dive on the history of the studio. They have a bunch of projects that never saw the light of day because it was like commissions and things like that. Yeah. One of them was they were working with Valve on doing this. It's like a side offshoot of Half-Life that was just based in Ravenholm. And they did quite a bit of the game, and so, but it never came out. They go into deep detail on like why it didn't come out. They kind of missed their timelines there, and so Valve just kind of pulled the plug. And like Arcane's honest about it was kind of them dropping the ball, but also Valve not giving them enough time to like see it through. But they showed footage in the game, like they play the game in that doc. And it's really cool. And they're in Ravenholm, and they're like messing. They added these other features with like electricity, where you could solve puzzles by like shooting these rail guns and creating like a new line of electricity. So the electricity was basically dynamic, so you could like connect anything together that normally wasn't plugged in. And it was really cool. And they just I highly recommend watching it because they show a lot of footage.
I like Arcane. I think they're an interesting studio because I feel like they have like a real what's the word, like a real style. In terms of how they like do design their worlds and their levels, because it's like because when they co-developed Wolfenstein Youngblood, that later standalone DLC, you could really feel their influence in how the levels were designed. Like they were much more vertical than normal, and you can really see that in Dishonored. And I like it when a studio has like this sort of staple thing that you can sort of expect from them, but not something that's like obvious as like an art style or something, but in terms of like how they design their games, because to me that shows that they have like a real like philosophy, because with how much like teams change and personnel go to elsewhere and all of that, I think it's quite nice when a studio has like a consistent level of like design like ideology. And I think that Arcane are a studio that do have that. So it obviously shows they have like a lot of values, either a lot of values or a team that sticks together and stays together and sort of shares on these same sort of influences.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, their style is definitely like an imprint on each game. And I think those are the devs that I gravitate towards, that I want to see, every release, because I trust that, like, of course, assuming that the formula that they create is interesting enough, but like I like that little bits carry over from each game, so they have like a style, and you kind of know a little bit what to expect with every game, that at least that they're gonna like bring it every time. But they go into a deep dive on Dishonored, which I love. The first Dishonored, I played that game to death. Like I really loved the freedom you had to tackle the not only to not kill people, but also to play. You could do stealth, you could do action, you could traverse the world in really any way you wanted to. It was really nuts.
Yeah. Oh, and they had that mechanic as well, where if you kill too many people, it like creates those like zombies, doesn't it, from that sort of illness, which I thought was quite cool.
Oh, you're right. I forget about that. Yeah, they really
so it's sort of like it like punished you for killing too many people, and I think I remember as well, like the trophies were very influenced around completing the game without killing a single person, or completing a game. There's lots of different play styles, which I think was really cool as well.
Although some of because there's like high key like profile people you're supposed to assassinate, or you can choose rather to assassinate to not. But some of the alternatives are pretty brutal still. Like one of them, It's these two. They're like they run this mining company. They basically have slaves, and so what you can do is instead of kill them, you can cut out their tongues and then like shave their head and throw them into that machine basically, and they just become a miner, and no one ever believes that they ran the company.
Yeah,
and they're just there forever. Like it's pretty.
That's really cool actually. I don't remember it too well, especially in terms of like its story and that. I never played the second one either, but I do remember really enjoying the first one, and it's a game I've always intended to go back to and give another go. Which actually reminds me, to sort of completely change the subject, is there was another game I played, and it was Mass Effect, which I finally finished.
Oh, right. So you finished all of them, or which one were you playing?
Just the first one, because I haven't played Mass Effect. Well, I played the first one when it first came out in like 2007, I think it was. And I didn't really like it. And I've always been meaning to go back to it, because it's such a big series that people always talk about. And yeah, I finished it, I want to say yesterday, or the day before. And yeah, I have so much to like say about it. And I mean, as you know, I'm sort of trying to like do some sort of videos and things on YouTube, just sort of like trying to get into that kind of thing, just as like a personal hobby. And I've got so much to say about it that I want to do like a whole video on sort of the things I really don't like about it, because
that's awesome.
In terms of its story, it's really cool, but it's probably one of the worst games I've ever played as well.
Wow.
Like honestly, and I feel that like passionately. Like it is. There were points where like I could only like laugh at how bad it was, and nothing to do with like the age of it or anything like that. It was just like some of it was just like horrendously bad. And yeah, I just have so much to like talk about with it really, in a negative way, but also in a positive way about like the story and things, because it's kind of like two sides of extremes with it. It's like I think the story and the lore and the sorry, someone's trying to ring me, and the sort of like backstory is some of the best I've ever seen in anything, not just games. I think there's so much attention put into that, but in terms of the game itself, it is some of the worst design I've ever seen. So it's like really, it's like I have like a really strange like feeling about it. I don't really know whether I could like recommend it or not. But, so yeah, so it's a strange one.
Okay, now I have some questions, because it's like with Mass Effect, this is the starting point for that series that everyone loves. It's a huge franchise that, you know, has fallen off, but like those 3 games people really, really love. So what is like the shining hope? What keeps you wanting to play that first one? I imagine like taking us all back to when people experienced that first Mass Effect game. Yeah. What lit that fire to like keep making these games? Well,
that's what I find so interesting, because one of the main things that got me through it was because I've heard, I mean, my sister's a huge Mass Effect fan, and a couple of my friends love it as well. And ever since I played it in 2007, and sort of I've always been quite outspoken about how much I didn't like it back then, was the things I didn't like to do with the gameplay get much better in the second and third, which from the footage I've seen like looks about right. It looks like a decent action third-person shooter. So that's kind of been helping me get through it. But also the story is great. Like the story is really, really amazing, and the lore is incredible, and the world, like the universe they've built, is so good, and the characters are really believable and tell the story in a really good way. And that's what also helped me get through it. And the combat and the main gameplay sort of loop is okay. There's nothing like inherently bad about it, but there's nothing great about it either. But there are certain things, because I won't go into it too much, but that one thing that I thought was just insane, which is like really stuck in my head, is that the way you sort of like get loot and gear is you don't loot enemies, but when you kill an enemy, it will like add like maybe loot to like a pool for when you go into your inventory. So say you just killed like a whole bunch of enemies, you'll open your inventory, and before you get to your inventory screen, it will show you all these items that you've accumulated over the course of like all these enemies you've killed, which I really like. I think that's cool. It like means you don't have to bother about searching bodies and that. But there was one point in the game where my inventory was full. It's the first time it had happened, so I reached my inventory max, and it came up with this screen of all these items that I'd accumulated, and it said your inventory's full, so you can't take all these items. So I was like, okay. So I tried to like come off of this screen so I could go into my inventory and drop some things, or it's called reducing to omnigel, which means you like convert that item into like a resource.
Okay.
But you can't get off that screen. You can't leave it. You're completely stuck on this screen of this pool of items that you've accumulated. Like you literally cannot do anything. And you have to reduce all of these new items that you've accumulated, which will be stronger than the stuff you've got because they're new items that you've just found in this new section of the game. So you have to reduce all this new stuff. And not only does it take ages to do it, because you have to reduce them one by one. There's no like reduce all button or anything like that. So that is like painfully long, but also there's no like thing telling you like you've got 170 items out of 150, so you know how many you have to reduce. You just have to literally sit there and sometimes go through like 30 items, reducing them all until it just lets you carry on. And like I said, you can't get off the screen until you've done it. You're just forced to sit there reducing all these things, all these brand new items that you're looking at thinking that's so much stronger than what I have now. That's so much stronger than what I have now. And yeah, and I was just like so taken aback by that. I just thought like that's just it's insane. And if you open a box, the same thing will happen. So if you open a box, it's got 4 things in it, but you're at max inventory. You can't then exit that screen and be like, oh, I'll leave those things in that box and I'll make some room. You have to destroy all of those things in that box before you can exit that screen. And like that's like one. I know it's insane, and that's like one tiny thing I don't like about it. But that's like one that really sticks in my head because of how like ridiculous it is. But I need to like stop because I'll go on about it for ages. But it's definitely stuck with me because of how bad it was, but also the story. I loved the story. Like the story is really, really cool. And I am genuinely excited to play the second one. So it's a really strange one. But yeah, back to your question about why did people play through it without the knowledge of what the second and third games are like? I have no idea. I have no idea.
Because now you can play it knowing that the second and third get really, really good, and they kind of like work on those features. But with that, if you're locked into that time frame, like 2005 or something, I feel like
well, it's 2007, which like I mean the same year, games like Call of Duty 4 come out, BioShock came out, so it's not like so age related things like its visuals. I mean, it's a little bit outdated in that respect. It's a bit silly in the way it presents some things, but that kind of thing I don't care at all. Like that doesn't feed into any of the negatives I have about it. But so I don't really think age is necessarily a huge factor in it because, like I said, those games came out. BioWare were already a big studio. They obviously had Knights of the Old Republic, which I think has far better systems and UI than Mass Effect does. But the only thing I think it could be is that this came out on 360 first, and I played it on Steam, so I played the PC version. And I know the UI is slightly different on PC, so I don't know whether it was like ported to PC, and so because a lot of my issues are with the UI, like that for example, what I just talked about, and so I don't know whether it's just they ported it really lazily to PC, which like didn't translate well. So whether most of people's like good opinions on the game come from the 360 version or not, but when I played it on PC, there were points when I was literally just laughing at how bad it was. So I finished Mass Effect. I'll be going on to the second one soon enough, so hopefully that will instill a bit more confidence in me about the series.
Now, did you romance any people? Did you get at least
No, I didn't even do that either. I didn't even get close to it. I don't even know how you do that. Like I didn't.
You got to convert those things to jelly, then you use that jelly to romance them. That's how it works.
Yeah, I imagine because like the ship you have is like the hub that you're on before you like go to different planets and things. So I imagine you have to like seek out your companions and speak to them there to like do things. But I was never really like compelled to speak to the companions. Like I liked them, and what I liked about them was like deciding who to take on missions because they'll like have their own input on certain like quests, which is quite cool. But I was never compelled to like find them and speak to them or anything like that. But that's probably testament to the story. I really enjoyed the story. I think Shepard's a great character. I think he's really well made for a game like that. You know, he's got enough backstory that for him to be interesting, but it's open-ended enough for you to shape him how you might sort of perceive him, which I think was really well done. But I didn't romance anyone, which might be why I didn't like it.
Yeah, it was a bunch of us horn dogs in 2007. That was what kept us going, was romancing. Did you customize your shepherd at all? Because I know you can keep the base model, or you can just make it look however you want, right?
So I kept the base model just because that's the shepherd I've sort of seen before. Yeah. So I don't really like making my own characters, just because I always find that if a character has a certain design, it's like done for a reason. So I kept his base sort of thing. He was quite creepy though. Like his eyes were really scary at some points, and he seems quite There's a lot of times where like you'll make a dialogue choice, and he'll say something completely different to what it says he's gonna say. Like there's like, for example, like it'll be like you'll be in like a standoff with like someone, and you'll have the choice to say put your weapon down, and you'll click on put your weapon down, and he'll just shoot him or something like that. So, there's a lot of strange things about that game. I in a way feel like I downloaded some broken version of it.
Maybe.
But yeah, so it's an interesting game.
Nice. Yeah, it's one that I don't know if I'll ever go back into it, but I understand it's really loved, and so I think I tried the first years ago and wasn't into it, but no. Yeah, and it's one that I think is really ripe for a remaster, like a complete overhaul. Get the first, second, and third in there, and bring up the graphics, and then maybe you work on some of those quality of life things if that's not in those console versions. But yeah, I keep seeing online people are I'll see tweets every once in a while like, hey, give us that remaster, and but you think it would be a shoe-in to do that. And,
I think. Well, I mean, I've heard quite a few sort of things recently about a Mass Effect trilogy coming to PlayStation, so that would be quite cool. I think that the first one it just needs to be more like sophisticated in how it works. It's just very like infuriating at times, and it that's all it needs. It just needs a bit more sophistication, really, I think, in its systems and how it works. But yeah, like you said, I think it's ripe for a remaster, and because there's people like me, and I'm sure there's other people that never got round to it, maybe because they didn't like the first one or whatever reason. So and there is an amazing story to be told there. Like I said, it's one of the most richly one of the most lore rich sort of things I've seen. I think it's told really well. There's a really great story there.
I wonder if, and I imagine there's like a whole, offshoot of different like story lore that you can find in books. But I wonder if that's better as a novel, like if they can just go focus on their strengths, which seems like is the story, and just go full force with that. But I wonder. Yeah,
that's something I wondered actually, because I'd be really interested in reading books based in that like universe, because it is, like I said, it's a really well thought out and crafted universe, and you can really see that they've put so much attention and care into the writing, which is why it's such a shame that the game doesn't quite pull you through as well, because it could really be like a special game if it played well. But I mean, Knights of the Old Republic was the same. I mean, that people still today are like begging for a movie based on the story that BioWare created for that game, with like Darth Raven and everything. So they've obviously got like a hugely talented team, which, like I said, even today are influencing something like Star Wars. So yeah, it's just a shame that they can't seem to, and it's like with Anthem. Anthem had because I played a little bit of Anthem, and that came out, and that had a really cool idea behind it, but then it was just the gameplay that let it down. So I think that it's a shame that they can't notice where their weaknesses are, maybe, or what they need to maybe shift some attention onto. But then again, I haven't played Mass Effect 2 and 3, so I might eat my words when I play those.
I think we're gonna see a turnaround, because I imagine they fix those things, and I feel like I've always heard the second and third are really great. There's that controversial way they end the third I remember hearing about, but other than that, I feel like people really love the second and third one. And
I'm really excited to play Andromeda as well. I know it's got a really bad rap, but from what I've seen, it looks really nice. It looks like it plays really well. I don't really know, and they're able to like add their sort of like writing and the sort of storytelling to a visual aspect as well. Because I think I was rewatching one of our podcasts actually, and you put like some gameplay of Andromeda on when we were talking about Mass Effect, and just from that, like there was like these big moving rocks and things, and it's just like it's literally just nice on the eye. Like I just would be happy to play through that, even if it is, you know, maybe doesn't have not quite as good in comparison to the second and third game, but yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to get through them and sort of see how they develop on each other, and I'm just so glad that I finished the first one.
Right. Yeah, I'll be interested to see that deep dive you make on it, and just it'd be cool to have you should capture footage while you're playing too, to get those frustrations as they happen, and then just kind of mix that in as well.
That's I've got at the moment on my channel. I've got like an early impressions video when I'm like 2 hours in, and it's just me playing it like live, and just talking about how I feel like that far in. And then I've got a second video where I'm like about 10 hours in, and I'm talking about how like my opinions have changed and how I feel at that moment. They're not like the best videos. Like I'm not very good at playing and talking at the same time. It's really difficult, especially when I'm trying to like listen to the story at times. But
it's a whole thing,
yeah. But so I'm really excited to like do this. So I'm doing this like third video as like a whole just review. I've recorded like some footage without me in it, just so I can have in the background to like enhance on the points I make. But yeah, I wrote like a script like literally just after I finished it. And I wrote like 3,500 words, like just smash it out. I was so angry about so much of it. But I was also like quite passionate about like the story and how they've like crafted that, because there's a lot to it. So I'm looking forward to sort of getting into that. It'll probably be the biggest video I've tried making. So I'm just excited in that aspect, just to like really get my teeth sunk into it and try and get something sort of fairly decent out.
Nice. That's cool. Well, yeah, when you're done, you know, beating yourself in the corner playing these frustrating games, then you can move on to something else.
Yeah.
You know what? To just end what we've been playing, I did also play more Control. So this is the third time I bought this game. I bought it on PS4, I bought it on Xbox, and also this is on PC. But it was on sales on the Epic Store for like, there's some crazy deal where if you keep buying the games, they keep giving you a $10 coupon. So like I bought Control for $20. I bought Far Cry 5 for like $5 with that $10 off. Yeah. And so it just, as long as the coupons keep coming in, I'll keep buying these older games that I already own. Yeah. But playing Control again was great, and it's like, you know, 60 frames per second. I get that this is a PlayStation podcast, but like now that I have a cool PC, it's like now I want to see what I can play on there, and all these games I already own, so I'm just re-downloading, re-buying these games. But it's pretty dope to finally see like the, you know, full potential of some of these games.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Control is a good example, because I've heard, I mean, I haven't played Control yet, but I've heard that there was some issues with it on PS4 and even PS4 Pro in terms of like frame rate drop. So it's nice for you to play a game you've already played, but just maybe see it like at a, you know, a nice buttery smooth sort of sequence. And because, you know, like as much, you know, we both, I mean, me certainly as well, like I'm invested in PlayStation far more than any other system, but you know, it's important to play these games on different platforms so that you sort of understand, I suppose, what you're talking about, and sort of it makes you a bit more like more rounded when sort of talking about these games, because you've got so many like people who are like just PC, and they'll be like, oh, if you play anything under 4,000 FPS, then so it's good to sort of like be able to, you know, drop in and out, understand what the strength of each platform is. And so yeah, it's cool. It's nice to sort of see you jumping into PC and enjoying these sort of games as well.
It also helps with like that's a great point. It's like just with helping your bias, because if you're locked into one platform, and I get financially some people have to be, that's totally fine. But like if you can, to just try these other, and some games are locked to specific consoles. So it's like if you can branch out and try other stuff, then you know you're less like in these camps that force that negativity of, oh, I'm only Xbox, I'm only PC, I'm only PS4. It's like that's all bullshit. So if you can play other games, play other games.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, like for example, I was talking about Gears 5. I can't play Gears 5 on my PlayStation. So, you know, as a gamer, I want to play all these great games. And if I didn't have a PC, I'd probably get an Xbox because they're so cheap. You know, it's what you probably get them for like $150, $200 now. like the base Xbox One, which can play Gears 5. But because I already have a PC, I can get all those games there. So it should be about the games, not the hardware. And unfortunately, some games are restricted to certain hardware. But if you really are, and I'm talking about the people who, like you were saying, like act like there's only one platform out there. They're the ones that sort of try and portray themselves as these like big gamers, what they're talking about. But it's like, if you're such a big gamer, then why would you limit yourself to one platform, one set of games? But that being said, the PlayStation is by far my favorite platform. I'd rather play games on it over my PC, just because I find like PC gaming does have its issues.
I'm learning that too. Like now, I love the fact that I love that you can put on a game on a console, you download it, and it just works, man. You don't have to mess with the settings. It just works. It looks great. I find myself fumbling before I start a game, checking what settings work, loading a little bit, adjusting stuff, and while it's cool, it's that's a good hour of my time before I even start the game, half hour of my time, and it's kind of it's a whole like rabbit hole you can go down.
Yeah, well, I was saying to you before we started that I was trying to play Gears 1 on PC with a friend, and we literally spent 4 hours trying to get it to work, trying to get us into a game together. And because I had some time, sort of, I was doing some like game dev work, and so I sort of had this time, and I was like, we can play a little bit of Gears. And literally that entire time was just spent troubleshooting this issue that we were having. And it still doesn't work. So there are some, but that's mostly Microsoft Store related. But again, it's the Microsoft Store on a PC, so it is. There are some frustrations, but so yeah, PlayStation's definitely king for me.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Callum, that's a good segue. We'll get into some PlayStation news. It's kind of a lighter week here, but we got some stuff here we can still dissect. So this is the biggest one. So we'll start with this. This is Sony is planning a PS5 conference for as early as next week. So this is still rumored, but it seems like this one is getting a lot of attention. A lot of people are talking about it, especially Jason Schreier, who's kind of like the go-to for a lot of this new stuff. He's now at Bloomberg. So the article is for Bloomberg. Jason Schreier and Takashi Mochizuki have the details. Sony Corp is planning a digital event to showcase games for its next-generation PS5 console that may take place as early as next week, according to people with direct knowledge of the matter. The virtual event could be held June 3rd, though some people also caution that plans have been in flux and the date may change. Other PS5 events may follow in the coming weeks and months, and Sony is not expected to reveal every essential detail on the console during its first presentation. As Sony spokesperson declined to comment, the company shares were largely unchanged in early Thursday trading in Tokyo. The Japanese tech giant has only let out a trickle of information on the PS5 so far, which the company says remaining on track for release this holiday season despite the COVID-19 pandemic. Chief Executive Officer Kenichiro Yoshida said earlier this month that Sony will soon be announcing a strong lineup of PS5 games. So Avenger Beat has the kind of the breakdown of what they've also heard with this story. So the focus for this event coming up for the PS5 focus will be the next gen games running on PS5 hardware. Don't expect any details on price or an exact date yet with this event. Next event is a state of play scheduled for early August. Focuses on next gen and current gen games. So we keep hearing, early June. I know there was a June 4th date that was apparently that was let go. That was another rumored one, but this is June 3rd, which is on the earlier side. How do you feel about this? I know we kind of talked about cracking that week of Last of Us 2 launch week to kind of like keep this whole thing with PlayStation going, but maybe it's earlier to bridge before that to just keep that momentum, and then you drop the Last of Us 2, and then it's off to the races.
Yeah, I think any time now, I think with Last of Us 2 being, 3 weeks away tomorrow, I think it'd be 3 weeks tomorrow. I think any time now would be, between now and then, would be, enough to really like own the floor for the next couple of months. Because obviously they've got Last of Us 2 coming in June, they got Ghost of Tsushima coming in July, so any time between sort of now and I'd say Last of Us 2 would just mean that, they would hold the floor for a long, long time. But if they do that and it's still not quite satisfactory in terms of what they show, then it could have maybe negative effects.
Right.
But it's exciting. I just want to see the box. That's all I want. I don't need a release date because holiday 2020 is enough for me. A price would be nice. A chance to pre-order it would be nice. But I just want to see it. I just want to know what it looks like so I can dream about it.
Yeah, I think you're right. It would be good to get the price out there but maybe you do wait a little bit longer till August. I think that's fine. I would rather it be with a launch or released along with the box itself with this PS5 event. But at the very least, if you give us the box, then that just gives us more time to like pick it apart, to theorize about it, to see what that box means for. Because I imagine the design hopefully is going to be more unique. We're going to pick that apart. So like it just kind of this trickle information gives us more time to chew on something before we get that initial price. And it seems like price wise, this thing, at least rumored, what they've been talking about on the sidelines is that it's going to be priced a little bit, or hardware wise, it's going to be something that's not as powerful as the Xbox One X. So maybe it's something that's going to be priced a little bit cheaper, or at least the very same price, as Xbox X, and that seems to be like $500 range. So we can assume it's around that same price. But get the box out, and also some games. Like we're kind of overshadowing the fact that like to see some legit first party titles is going to be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're hoping to see like your Spider-Mans, your Horizons, maybe a Killzone. I'd as much as I'd love to obviously see some anything to do with Spider-Man Horizon. I'd love to see either a new IP or a returning IP. I mean, Resistance, I think, would just be the perfect thing to show. Because, I mean, can you imagine they could show, like, even if it's a new Resistance for PS5, and then tail that with, and the remastered trilogies coming on PS4 or something. That would just make me cry with happiness. But, yeah, it's really exciting. I just want to see some things now. But more than all of that, I want Resistance remastered trilogy. That's more important.
Yeah, that one, Resistance or a Killzone, like bringing that franchise back. They need to have their ducks in a row with launching with like they have a shooter that's competent to compete with.
They need a shooter.
Yeah, and Halo Infinite's launching with the Xbox One X. You have to have that thing to compete. So launch with something like that. Launch with, or at least in this event, maybe you tease the next the next Horizon Zero Dawn. You tease the whatever Insomniac's working on with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not too early to tease these things, just to get you, because you're trying to get people on board to adopt to PS5, and so you want to kind of put these teasers. I think it's still too early to see the next God of War project, even as a teaser. That's got to be like maybe 2 years into the PS5's timeline, but. You want to kind of drum up the hype. This is the time to do it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a shooter is really important with Halo. I see a lot of like people talking shit about Halo online, about Halo Infinite, because they haven't shown much off about it or talked about it. But it's Halo. They don't need to show anything off. I'm sure it's going to be awesome, and it seems and the way they've been talking about it sounds like that they're really trying to reboot it and bring it back to its sort of former glory. So that's going to be a real seller for Xbox. And PlayStation have to try and match it in some way if they want to stay on top in terms of sales, because Halo is a console mover. So they need a Killzone or Resistance or something, because Killzone and Resistance are both great shooters, especially with Shadowfall. I mean, I know people weren't too keen on Killzone 2 and 3. I loved them. But Shadowfall was just something else. And Resistance are, for me, probably my favourite first-person shooter games, especially the third one. So they've really got something there, but they just seem to be focusing more on these story-heavy third-person games, which are fine, but they need a bit of versatility, a bit of... what's the word? It's a really simple word as well.
Variety, maybe a little bit, or
that's the word. Yeah, variety. Yeah.
Because I'm way smarter than you, Callum. We've already established.
Yeah, no, definitely. I sometimes my brain just goes ooh and just turns off.
That's my constant state of my brain. It's just just.
I think it's this heat. It's just I think my brain is like melting out my ears.
Yeah, dude, whatever. It's like 60 degrees over there, and you're complaining about the heat.
It's hot.
Okay. Like, I got this brown skin for a reason. I'm living in the sun. Man. Come on. Alrighty, Callum. Well, yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's very soon. If this is legit, and this could change and they mentioned in the article, they could change for Corona stuff that's happening. But if that's legit, that's next week. I mean, that's pretty soon. We're kind of expecting something early into mid-June. And now, we're on the cusp, hopefully, of some PS5 news. It's pretty dope to now finally be in this time. We've been talking about this for months, where it's like it's gonna be any day now, and now we're finally gonna see hopefully at least the box or a corner of the box, something. But
they'll probably reveal like the noise it makes when it turns on or something stupid like that.
Right. I am hoping, as I am the weirdo that I am, like I want some of that dev kit design to transition over. I don't think it's going to look like that weird Lamborghini, Frankenstein dev kit, but something, I feel like we're going to see some kind of weird vents on the top, something that carries over that idea. But, who knows?
Yeah, I think we'll definitely get some weird vents because like I was saying to you earlier about my PC trying to run a game at 1080p and it gets just so hot. I can't imagine, if these consoles can do 4K at 60 FPS. I mean, that's gonna require a lot of like voltage, a lot of power. They're gonna need some sort of very sophisticated cooling and sort of airflow to go through it. And I think you see that with the Xbox Series X. I mean, with the vent on top. I mean, that's quite concentrated, and compared to the console itself, it's quite a big portion of it. I mean, it's the entire top of it. So I think that's quite a nice, sleek way of doing it. But if you think about it, that's a lot of the console that's vents and airflow. But I'm so excited to see it. I'm not too bothered about if it's going to look bad. I'm not too worried. I didn't think the PlayStation 3 necessarily looked that nice. And then I remember when the PlayStation 2 Slim came out, I thought that was pretty horrible as well. So I'm not too bothered about what it looks like. Just as long as it works and doesn't sound like it's gonna take off and go to the moon when I play a game,
right? Or hover slightly. Do you do you kind of have like a visual preference with these consoles? Where do you like them more sleek, kind of like the have you seen the Xbox One X? It's very much like a rectangular, like just a flat box. There's not a lot of character to it. It's very simple, very like kind of blends in. Do you prefer that, or like that PS3 like rounded shape? Like, do you want more character or more something that just blends in? Do you care at all?
I quite
with, like, the console itself.
I really like the sort of like, what is it, like a perpendicular kind of like slant that the PlayStation 4 has on the front. I really like the PlayStation 4 Slim. I think that's really nice. I don't really know. I mean, at the moment, sort of my current like living situation, I don't really have like a because I've got my PC out here, which is all fine, but my PlayStation's in my bedroom. And it's sort of like I don't even really look at it ever. So I'm not. So in one way, I'm not really too bothered because at the end of the day, I normally don't end up looking at it that often. But when I used to sort of like have my own place and I'd have like my like sort of like home cinema all set up and everything, I like it to sort of fit in. It doesn't like stand out too much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I like black consoles. I didn't mind the Xbox One. I know it got a lot of stick for looking. Over here, we've got a thing called Sky TV, which is sort of like our one of our main ones, and everyone is saying it looked like a Skybox because it just looked like a sort of like
a
weird sticker on the front, like maybe a hazard sticker or a warning sticker, which
I forget what that was for, but maybe for like the disk drive or something, or like there was an event there. I don't know what the
and I think that like really put me off of it a little bit, but I'm not too bothered about the appearance as long as, like I said, as long as, like, for example, I wouldn't really want the Spider-Man PS4, even though my PS4 is like bright blue at the moment, just because like it will just stand out maybe in like a home cinema. I like it's sort of a bit too bright, but so something just subtle and sleek and futuristic is probably what I'd go for.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll see. Potentially, this is next week at some point. So if it is, you're going to have to see. I imagine we're going to see some kind of actual confirmation from Sony, because still we've yet to see that. So they're going to have to. They're not just going to drop this one day randomly, or maybe they will. I feel like they would tease this once they get the actual date, and then we're off to the races. But we'll see what they actually decide to confirm. But interesting time. The next article here, it's not really an article because I didn't want to read or watch anything about this, but this is about The Last of Us 2 State of Play. So last week we're pretty, I don't know if negative is the right word, but I felt like I didn't need this. And maybe if I could control this, no one should see this as well. But
yes,
it is what it is. There's still people hungry for it on Twitter. I made sure and removed any mention that I could in my muted words of Last of Us 2. Didn't want to see it. There's still memes and stuff that I've seen float around. But I did pull up the details of what they actually showed, or the overview, the very general overview, just because I'm very much in the same boat where we want to keep this very spoiler free. Even this State of Play, I think, was too much of a reveal. But apparently they showed off some combat mechanics. They went into detail on that, which is fine. A map system. They kind of detailed how you navigate the map and how you navigate the world through that way. I guess there's more detail on the NPC systems and how you react with them, how flushed out they are.
Yeah.
And then there was 8 minutes of gameplay that they actually showed off.
Yeah.
Did you stay away from this? Did you end up getting the swooped in? What did you?
So I've seen like I didn't watch it. I haven't watched the whole thing. I've seen like clips that people have been like taking out and putting around and certain like images and things. And I watched like the first minute or so because of I don't know if you saw the PlayStation Vita thing in it.
I saw memes of that. Yeah. So I don't know what the hell's going on. Does a character in the game have one?
Yeah, so at the very beginning of I think it's the beginning of the gameplay segment, you're sort of playing as Ellie and you're trying to like sneak through into this like place underwater, and as she sort of like emerges, there's a sort of a young girl and she's playing Hotline Miami on a Vita, and then you come up behind her and sort of like do like a stealth sort of interaction thing. It was really cool. It looks like I just don't understand how they've managed to have it like work so well, and I think it's similar to even in the first game, like with how well everything flowed, everything seemed scripted in the first game. Even now, to today's standards, it's still impressive. Like when you're like having a fist fight with somebody or like melee fights in the first game, they seemed like you're watching a cutscene, but obviously they can go so many different ways. And they just seem to have like developed on that and just created these really, really clever ways of making everything flow organically and seem like it's scripted when actually there's so many different calculations going on in the background and different sort of things going on. So yeah, it looks amazing. I don't know anything about the map or the combat mechanics or the NPC systems or anything. I didn't watch enough of that, but from what I've seen, it's just exaggerating the fact that it's going to be a insane game.
Yeah, I mean that's great. I trust their caliber, and everyone else does, to the nth degree where they can deliver. I guess maybe my first thought is with how beautiful it is looking to be. How is the base model PS4, especially if you have like a launch PS4, how the fuck is this going to run on there? But that's what they do. They optimize to that hardware. I mean, the Uncharted 4 looked amazing, and it still ran on. I feel like it ran pretty well on the base PS4. I played it on the PS4 Pro. So they're able to do it. It's just like they're really pushing it and squeezing every bit of juice out of this thing.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen an exclusive game on any console that runs badly, to be honest. I think if it's made for one system and one system alone, it's going to be pretty... I mean, maybe Days Gone is probably one that was maybe a little bit different. But, if you look at like God of War, which... even now looks, I mean, it's not that old, but it looks way too good for PS4 for the base model. Uncharted 4 still is probably not too far away from Last of Us 2 in terms of its like visual prowess. So I think with these really, really talented studios who have worked with PlayStations for so long, I think that it running well is a huge part of, getting it released. So I don't think that they would be able to release it if it didn't run well on the base PS4. I don't know how they do it. They're far more intelligent than I am in that respect. So I have no idea how they manage to get all that juice sort of flowing out of the PlayStation 4. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm just so excited to see it running on the PS4 and hopefully that there's not going to be any downgrades or anything. But on that note, I don't know if you've seen the photo that people have been sharing comparing. They must have shown the same scene from Paris Games Week, which was in 2017 now, I think. And they showed a still from that, and then the exact same scene, but from yesterday's or the other day's State of Play.
Is it of a character that was in the first one, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. What's the difference?
The still from yesterday is like 10 times better. So the game's actually gotten better. It looks far better than it did. Exactly. And people were saying like Ubisoft take note. They're like, because they're basically doing the opposite of like what Ubisoft known to do, where they show off gameplay, which looks really amazing. And then the game comes out and they downgraded it so that it can run on the consoles. but yeah, it seems like Naughty Dog are actually improving the fidelity of the game as they go along, and yeah, it's incredible. I'm just so excited to finally get my hands on it, and I've been seeing like lots of like people like Greg Miller's got it, and all these different reviewers are playing it.
Right.
And,
that's my next thing is the embargo. So a lot of these outlets have it. The embargo lifts on Friday, June 12th. So we're gonna. And I can't imagine this thing is not going to deliver. I mean, come on. It's like the writing's on the wall. We could see this is going to be an insane, 10 out of 10 across the board, I imagine.
Yeah. You'd have to imagine it. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of like, people giving it negative scores, not critics, but, just people, because we've already seen that kind of like reaction just before the game's even out. So I'm sure there'll be that, but that's to be expected. But yeah. I did sort of go into like a slight jealous rage when I saw that some people have got it already.
Yeah, that's the tough one. It's a game we waited so long for, and then for them to go, which I guess they can. That's a fair thing to do. To be like, I think especially Greg Miller is like, I got it. I'm playing it. It's like, fuck, man.
Yeah. Just pretend you don't.
And I think the next image he shared was like he's also playing Iron Man VR and with the shirt off, and I'm like, okay. He's living his best life over there, apparently.
Yeah,
it's dope. I mean, I can't wait. We're gonna see more about it. I didn't want to watch this Last of Us 2, but for a lot of people, and I feel like most of the internet, ingested this, they were fine with it, and maybe they didn't show that much that was gonna like spoil anything. And I trust Naughty Dog that they wouldn't do that. I just being the nerd that I am, I get weird about stuff, even like with movie trailers. Like I'll watch if it's a movie that I really dig, that I want to see. I'll watch the first one and then that's it. Leave me alone. Yeah. Even in theaters, like back when we had movie theaters, like if they were playing a trailer that I haven't seen yet for a movie, like say like one of the last Marvel movies, like there was Endgame, like when they would keep revealing new trailers, I would just like shut off, walk away, go to the bathroom, and then come back because like I don't want to see any more of this.
I don't know if it's because for me, I'm not too bothered about spoilers sometimes. I think there's like a lot more context normally to sort of how something happens. I mean, not that I like to see spoilers, obviously, but for me, for trailers and things, I just can't be bothered to watch them a lot of the time. Like, I mean, with The Last of Us, I do genuinely just not really want to see anything, so I do want it to be fresh. But with like movies and things, I'll maybe watch a trailer if I'm interested, but most of the time I just don't watch trailers. And like my friend like loves movies and games, and he will like watch a trailer like over and over and over again. And I just don't know how he does that. Like I watch one trailer and then that's it. Like that's plenty for me to go off of. So I think I agree. It's like it's sometimes you just need to know when to like stop showing so much. And I think Spider-Man was a great example of something that just showed way too much. Like just so much was shown for that game. But I mean, I get they got to like market things, but you've got to think like Last of Us 2 especially, like that doesn't need marketing. Like people are going to buy it. Like this state of play has not made somebody now go and buy it, I'm sure. I doubt there's anyone on the fence about it. If they played the first one, then they know the quality of these games.
That's what I would imagine, but maybe there are still idiots out there going, "Huh? What? There's okay, I'll play this one first." It's like, hey, fuck you, dude. If you play Last of Us 2 first, this isn't for you.
Yeah, they're doing it like Star Wars, like playing the second one first, and then finding out what happened.
I remember working at the coffee shop with this girl a while ago, and we were talking about Star Wars, and she it was when the Last Jedi or Force Awakens, whatever that last one, the final ending to that Skywalker saga was. I forget the name of that.
Rise of the Skywalker.
There you go.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So when that movie came out, I just watched
something like that.
Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. So that movie had just come out. She was like, "Oh yeah, I watched it," and then I was asking her, "What'd you think?" And she's like, "Yeah, it was cool. I didn't know what was going on. That was the first Star Wars movie I ever watched, and it blew my fucking mind." I'm like, "What are you doing? You're watching the last?" She was like, "Yeah, I thought it was cool, but like I didn't know who this guy was, that guy was." I wanted to walk away because like, why would you live your life like that?
That's like proper chaotic evil, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like that is like awful.
It was, yeah, I'm just like, obviously she didn't care, it was fine. Like, she was not a Star Wars fan. I guess go for it. Just watch the last one, watch the ending of it for some reason. But but it just blew my mind, that people do that. But I feel like there's a lot of people that do that. They just don't care, which is cool. Like, I'm not gonna, freak out that people don't like the same media that I do, or to the degree that I do.
Definitely not.
That's totally fine. But it's also just weird to me that you would, because you're only hurting yourself. Like, those payoffs for these characters that end, their story culminates. It's like that payoff isn't there because you watched the last one.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I think that probably just plays more into like my, like, I have a weird thing where like I'll only watch something if like I feel like it's a good if it's like good time spent, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And it's like really annoying, but so like if I'm gonna go watch film at the cinema, especially because it's such an ordeal, like it takes so long out of your day, like to do. You got to get there. You got to get there like an hour before for some reason. So for me, I have to like make sure I'm going to watch film I want to watch. I sort of understand, especially if it's like a sequel. I need to have like watched the ones before it, like really recently. So I make sure I like understand everything. So yeah, to me that's like so relaxed that it's like almost psychotic.
Yeah, but I imagine that she took all the stress out of everything out of her life, by doing that. But
like, how
for
is she
nerds like us,
how is she not so like stressed out and on edge all the time to be able to do that?
Right. Yeah, it's only something we do. You know what? I remember growing up too with going to the movies, and I've loved going to the movies ever since I was a kid. But like being younger, we'd have to convince our parents to go drag us to it, and so my mom was always the one who would end up taking us after we would bug her. To death. And so like we would often, because she didn't give two shits about going to the movies, we would leave like while the trailers are starting. And it was the most tense shit ever, like as growing up, because I want to see the movie. I want to be there, got my seat.
Yeah.
But we'd be like just leaving the door as the movie's starting or as the trailer's starting. Oh man, it was the worst shit ever. And then like showing up and getting the worst seats. I was always just a bag of nerves growing up because my mom just didn't. She was very like, I don't care about these movies. I'm just going to take you. And yeah, it sucked, man. And so now as an adult, right? And as an adult now, I make sure I get there. Well, now you don't have to get there as early because like you can buy tickets online and you can get your seat sometimes for theater. Yeah. So like that's the way to go. Like that removes all the stress. You just show up, bam.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm the same. I get very stressed out when I just do pretty much anything, to be honest. But yes, going to the cinema in particular, especially like, because I'll get there and I'll be like, I really want to get snacks, but I don't know whether it's the same in the States, but like here it's like £12 if you want to get like a small bag of sweets. It's like just extortionate prices.
It is. It's insane.
So like, we'll get there, so I'll be stressed out about making it on time. I'll be stressed out about having to get a mortgage out to get some snacks. And it's just a whole ordeal. So yeah, I don't really go anymore. I mean, I do really like going. It's just more the thought of it that puts me off. Like I'm like, oh, if I go now, like if I leave at 6 o'clock, I'll be back by like 11. I'll have seen one singular film, which I'll probably forget about.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then if I go, I'll have a great time and love it. So it's just one of those things.
I definitely save it for back when we could go to movies. Like I'll save it for the movies I really want to watch, like the ones that I don't want to miss seeing on a big screen. Say like a Star Wars or something to that caliber. It's like I do want to. I'll save it for those special movies, and everything else I'll basically like wait till it comes out digitally and just watch it there. But yeah. I
tell you what's really nice as well. I don't know if you've done it. Is going to the movies on your own and just like.
I haven't tried that. What do you think?
I did it. I've done it twice, I think. And both times were for Star Wars. I did it because I was never really that keen on like going to see it. I do like Star Wars, but I've never been like one of those people who like go midnight release for it or whatever.
Sure.
So like all my friends would like go straight away, and I'd be like, I'll catch it another time. So by the time I'm ready to go watch it, like everyone will have seen it like 3 times. And yeah, I love it because you've got no one to like bother you, no one's talking to you. You can just sit there and just like not have to worry about what everyone else is doing. I honestly prefer going to the cinema on my own than with people, just because like you don't really talk to people when you're there anyway, like when the film started or anything. It's really nice, and normally like where you can like select your seat, no one will sit next to you, no one will select that seat because they'll see this weird like lone person like on that row, so they'll be like, oh no, I won't sit there. So you normally have like 2 things to like put your snacks,
nice,
loads of room. And yeah, you can just and when I watched Rise of Skywalker, I really enjoyed it, and I was just sat there with like this massive like shit-eating grin on my face, like for the whole thing, just like literally like a kid again. Yeah,
Right.
So it's quite an experience going on your own.
I've heard that, yeah, that like a lot of the podcasts I listen to are from comedians, and like they'll talk about when they're on the road, they'll just watch a movie alone, and it sounds like such an insane thing, but it's like actually the way to go, because you just get more. Like you're talking about space, you don't have to worry about other people, and you can't talk while you're in a movie anyways. The idea of taking like a first date to a movie was always the worst idea because you can't talk.
Yeah.
Well, Cal, we'll go into our next article here. This one is right up your alley. So this is hopefully some more news on the next Resident Evil. This is a Resident Evil announcement happening June 10th, according to the Resident Evil Ambassadors Program. So PlayStationLifestyle.net has the actual details here. Chandler Wood wrote the article, lining right up with when E3 2020 would have been had a pandemic and mismanagement not gotten in the way. Capcom apparently has some kind of Resident Evil announcement happening on June 10th. According to a notification sent to high-ranking Resident Evil ambassadors, they are being told to expect an announcement on June 10th, 2020. The text at the bottom of the image, so I have the image here, text at the bottom of the image simply reads, a Resident Evil announcement will happen on June 10th, 2020. Without any further details or hints, we're only left to speculate about what Capcom could be announcing. Is it another Resident Evil remake? Will we get to see Resident Evil 8 after mountains of alleged leaks and rumors about the game? It's still up in the air. But so the image that they sent these Resident Evil ambassadors, which is this program that went live a while ago, so they've kind of like work through them to like release footage and stuff and have them play the game and also they're like they're influencers and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's a picture of Mr. X, and in Japanese is what apparently says that this announcement is coming. That's June 10th, so that's that's a week and a half away. It's pretty soon. Yeah. What would you imagine this announcement could be?
It's got to be Resident Evil 8. I mean, it's been a while since 7's come out now. I think that they're probably wanting to, be like, we are still making new games. Because I imagine, like, in a way, I mean, I'm sure they're probably extremely happy with the success they've had with the 2 and 3 remake, but they're probably going to be a bit like, why is everyone loving these remakes of our old games but not liking our new games as much? So yeah, I'm sure they're keen to get something out and get people excited about what's next for the series.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, now's the time because you're right. You don't want to kind of just be a remake machine of these older Capcom games. You want to kind of push the envelope, the tech and stuff, and the ideas with the next entry in the Resident Evil franchise. And there's been rumors for a long time that they're going to like some kind of European setting with these like witches or werewolves and stuff added to it. And so I'm hoping we at least get to it's something like that. It's some kind of new Resident Evil entry, because I think we're all hungry for that. Those remakes have sold so well. There's a lot more fans on board now, so now's the time to release this new thing. Yeah,
for sure.
Nice. Well, we'll see what that. So that's June 10th, so it's coming up soon.
Yeah, excited for that.
Yes. So, Callum, next one's also up your alley. This is I found this in the news recently. Destroy All Humans remake receives PC demo. So IGN Jordan Allman has the article here. A PC demo for the upcoming Destroy All Humans remake has launched on GOG, which is goodoldgames.com. The demo, which is 8 gigabytes in size, offers the first mission of the game as well as a bonus challenge mission. This build was previously demoed at trade shows in 2019 and sees Crypto decimate a local farm set with his trusty Zap-O-Matic. It's a great initiative if you want to check out the game ahead of its launch on July 28th. The demo has an expected playtime of 20 to 30 minutes and includes many of the classic powers debuted in the 2005 original, including the Psychokinesis, so you can hurl cows through the air, and the devastating death ray attached to Crypto's flying saucer. Do you think you'll be jumping into this demo, Cal?
So this is the same demo I played at Gamescom last year.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I probably won't do it again just because it's far too much effort for my lazy self to download again. But yeah, it's really good fun. Definitely recommend giving it a download if you can. It sort of like puts you straight back into that sort of like that mood, that sort of vibe that the first one gave off. If I remember from the original game, I think it's just the like beginning part, like the tutorial section.
Okay.
And then once you've done sort of that bit, it then gives you like this challenge where you've got to like kill as many cows as you can in a certain amount of time, which is always fun. So yeah, it's a fun little demo. It just sort of like gives you a little taste of what to expect, and it for fans of the original, it lets you sort of just see how the graphics have been uphauled and just how it's going to play. So yeah, that's cool. That's it's nice that it's sort of coming out for sort of more people to try out, and hopefully it'll get a bit more press because I haven't really seen much on it since.
Yeah, I guess we still have a month. And we have like almost 2 months really to like, get ready for this. But you're right. There hasn't been a lot of support, a lot of advertising. So hopefully this demo helps and they start to, switch gears coming soon.
Yeah.
Nice. So we got that one going on. Let's see. So this is very interesting. So this is Silent Hill PS5 rumors gain weight with Pyramid Head's arrival and Dead by Daylight. So Push Square's Liam Croft has the details. Well, things just got a little more interesting on the Silent Hill front. Pyramid Head from Silent Hill 2 and Heather Mason from Silent Hill 3 form the latest addition to PS4's title Dead by Daylight, along with a new map named Midwich High School. That's really cool and all, but the real talking point here is the timing of it all. A Silent Hill reboot on PS5 is strongly rumored to be a thing, and with speculation pointing towards a console and game lineup reveal coming early next month, this could be just the start of the marketing blitz. According to recent speculation, the Silent Hill PS5 project has been in development for 18 months, directed by Kiichiro Toyama. Despite Konami denying the reports recently, there's far too much smoke here for there not to be some sort of Silent Hill game in the works right now. We firmly believe that these rumors will become a reality before too long, potentially in just a couple of weeks' time. How do you feel about this? I saw that this content was being added to Dead by Daylight, which is cool. But does this mean that this is also like kind of tease or segue into a reboot of that franchise?
I don't think it probably is anything. I mean, I'm not to say that there isn't anything going on, but I don't think it's like necessarily anything to do with that. I think a Silent Hill remake is one of those things that has been circulating since the whole cancellation of Silent Hills, sort of like all the dust settled from that. So I think this is just I think Dead by Daylight acquire new sort of bad guys quite often, to be fair. I mean, they got like the Stranger Things guy. They've got people from isn't like Freddy Krueger in it? Maybe
I want to say they have those classic movie characters.
Yeah, because I got a friend who used to, I don't know if he is anymore, but he was really into the game. He used to tell me about all the different villains. So I think it's just a great addition. I think it's a pretty obvious choice. Pyramid Head's one of the most iconic video game villains. Or monsters, so I don't think there's a huge amount to read into here, but it's just really cool to see Pyramid Head in this game. I'm not a huge fan of Dead by Daylight, but Pyramid Head is horrifying, so it's quite a cool addition to the game.
Did you ever watch the movies? There was 2 movies of Silent Hill that they released.
Yeah, I think I've seen the first one, but I can't remember much of it. I can remember the bathroom scene with the nurse, just because of how iconic that character is, but. I know that the second one went very like Resident Evil latter movie, like music video, slow motion sort of
a lot of that
CGI film. But
the first one I watched a couple months ago, it's not bad. It's still, I don't know if it like holds up, but it's creepy, it's weird, it's moody.
Right, yeah. It seemed to have like captured the mood of it, but
right.
But yeah, the second one seems a bit strange.
Yeah, that one, I don't even know. I think it released in theaters, but like there wasn't any support. It just kind of came out, and it's often forgot about.
Is Sean Bean in it? I want to say Sean Bean.
I think he's in the first one.
I'm sure he's in the second one as well. Because I remember like thinking that maybe it's not so bad because I really like Sean Bean, but but then I remembered that sometimes good actors are in bad films.
Yeah, definitely. Gotcha. Well, we'll see. Yeah. So I don't know if this. You're right. It probably doesn't mean we're gonna see. This segues into some like with PS5's next event. They're gonna start off with like a Silent Hill reboot trailer.
Yeah.
But especially since I know someone else on Twitter, I forget who it was looking into these files or this press release, and Konami still owns the rights to Silent Hill. So it's not like they because one of the rumors was they were selling it to Sony and they were gonna like take it over. I don't think that's the case. It seems like they still own it.
If Silent Hill was to be rebooted through Konami, I probably wouldn't expect it to be very great anyway.
Right.
Just because they just can't seem to get anything right. I mean, even when they re-released their Castlevania games, I heard that like all the stuff because all they obviously have to do there is just re-release them and they work. But I heard that all the stuff they added in was really bad. Like the menu was just awful. like the menu to access it. So I just don't really believe in them that much, to be honest.
It's fair
in terms of bringing a game like that sort of to the level of, you know, like its competitors like Resident Evil. I just can't see it happening.
No, they kind of, they've definitely been dropping the ball, and it seems like they're not really interested in game development in the first place. Like they're really I keep hearing their pachinko machines are what really makes a lot of money. They have no interest in the whole Metal Gear Solid franchise. They did do that one multiplayer one that came out, but even that had a lot of issues too. So we'll see. We'll count on the next one here. I'm going to jump up a little bit further ahead, but it's PS Plus games for June. The reason why I bring it up, and usually, you know, there's not much to talk about, but what we had last month, there was that drama with Farm Simulator and City Skylines, and now this month we got some quote-unquote legit games that might make more people happy. We got Call of Duty World War II, and then the one that's rumored is this next one they're going to announce, which is Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is that's a good game. I feel like that's a fairly old game, but I'm blanking on when it actually came out. Maybe 3 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, probably around then. I think Battlefront 2 is an awesome choice because it's gotten better with age. As you know, it's had a really it's one of those like sort of games that has like a really nice story to it, similar to like Rainbow Six Siege, where, you know, it wasn't very well received when it came out. People slated the single player, but I quite like the single player, to be honest, but that people slated that and they didn't think again it was up to scratch. But it's really like come into its own. I mean, I played it for the last time probably about half a year ago, 6-7 months ago, and it's just they've just added so much to it. There's so many characters in it, spans across all of the films. There's just a lot to it, and the gameplay is really fun. It looks amazing. Like the graphics are incredible. Runs really, really well as well.
Is it Frostbite engine? I feel like this one is.
Yeah, it's Frostbite, and they've really like got that. Because I'd say like, except from the prequels, maybe I'd say like the original trilogy and the sequels have like this like just this certain like vibe to them, like this like weird like kind of visual aesthetic, and I feel like it really captures that well. And there's so many points where it just looks like you're watching a Star Wars movie. Especially there's a map, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the city in like the sky which Obi-Wan goes to, where all the clones are being
is it Tatooine? I'm not sure.
Not Tatooine. I can't remember the name of it, but it's this really like cool
and it's a floating city, right?
Floating city. It's where all like the clones
no?
were. No, I don't think so. It's where all the clones were like manufactured, but it's like really cool, and it just looks like a movie at times, especially when you see all like the droids and the clones and everything.
Right.
That's a really cool one. Especially they're sort of releasing it when it's at its best sort of form now as well. But as for Call of Duty World War II, I mean, that's, you know, if you haven't got Call of Duty World War II, then, you know, that's not bad. I mean, it's a good game. I quite liked Call of Duty World War II, so can't really complain about those.
So good. No one's complaining this time. We're all set. No. We're all happy campers. We're not getting a farm sim or whatever.
I'd still rather, you know, other games, but, you know, I can't complain about those at all. They're both you know, good games and great games to have during this time as well.
Yeah, for sure. This next one here is really just kind of used for comparison to what possibly PS5, what Sony's planning with PS5. But this was in the news today. There was a blog post on the Microsoft website. This is Jason Ronald, who's the director of program management for Xbox Series X. So he has the actual article where they go into the what they're expecting hardware-wise, feature-wise. But I pulled the actual breakdown from Twitter of Shinobi 602, who's this awesome, you know, he's always tweeting stuff, always tweeting news. He works for this other publication that's really well known, Escapist Magazine. So the breakdowns from that blog post are that the Xbox Series X is compatible with thousands of games at launch. They also say all games run at peak performance. Automatically will add HDR support, even the 360 games. There's a quick resume, works with all the backwards compatible titles, and double the frame rate of select titles. I found this article interesting because just by comparison, this is the competitor for PS5 coming into the next gen. Do you think we'll see some of these features supported in PS5? Are they focusing on as much on backwards compatibility as Microsoft is?
I don't know. I'd say they probably are focusing on it just as much, and I think that it's probably near impossible for them to not, you know, have a similar thing going on. I just don't think that they did very well at explaining it when Mark Cerny did that presentation. So I'd imagine you'd like to imagine that they'll have something similar to this.
Right.
But yeah, it sounds good. I think the double the frame rate of select titles is cool. I think they're quite different though, because it's sort of like it's compatible with thousands of games, and then it uses the double the frame rate of select titles. So I think it's worded well. But yeah, that's cool. It's exciting. It's nice to see, you know, proper backwards compatibility from launch, because it took a while for Xbox One to, you know, actually get that library up and going. Obviously, PlayStation 4 doesn't even have that, except for some select, you know, PS2 games that you can get for PS Now. So yeah, it's cool. It's a good sign. I think I actually left a snarky reply to this tweet. I don't know if it was this tweet in particular.
Oh, right. I saw that.
It was around the time where I couldn't get anything to work on the Microsoft Store, and I said it'd be nice if you could make your PC games compatible.
Right. Yeah, because you're stuck with, on the PC world, dealing with that Microsoft Store.
Yeah, it's really awful. Yeah, so they're in my bad books a little bit at the moment. Not Xbox, but just Microsoft.
Right.
But no, yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, I really hope PlayStation do something similar. Just for like the general sort of consensus. I mean, I don't think I would really like be too bothered myself personally if I couldn't play, you know, PS3 games on there, because I've got a PS3, I've got a PS4. I want a PS5 to play next gen stuff. I don't want it to play old stuff. I've got a PC to play, you know, older games at higher performance. But that's not a situation everyone has, and it's pretty much like a trivial thing to have nowadays with tech how it is. So you'd expect it to be part of it at launch, or at least some sort of a pipeline there at launch to sort of add on to, because it'd be very unacceptable for them to, you know, miss that twice in a row. So
that's true. And this makes me think that, yeah, because Microsoft has really, you know, has fleshed out their ability to support backwards compatibility, Sony has to kind of make sure that they're at least competitive with that, and not just, you know, push everyone to their Now service, but actually have another way to just boot up an old disc, or maybe even like a, you know, free download, something like that, that's more competitive with what Microsoft's doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So we'll end it on this last one. This is just going over some of the PS Days of Play sales that are going on now. So this is of pushsquare.com, has all of these prices laid out. And so we talked about last week, there was that German leak that was going to happen. Then they came out that later that week and actually gave out some dates and some prices and stuff. But yeah, so some of these are legit titles that everyone should play on PlayStation. So we got like God of War. This is the European site, but God of War for $11.99, which is I want to say like $9, something like that.
Yeah, and they've got these like special cases as well, which are really cool.
Yep. There's a Days of Gone with limited edition steelbook. There's a Horizon Zero Dawn complete collection. Yeah, a lot of these are under $20, under $15. Pretty dope. Even Fallout 76. We got Marvel Spider-Man. I mean, yeah, now's the time to jump in on some of these. These are games that everyone, or it's required reading, like Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, the list goes on here. You even got some Death Stranding for pretty cheap.
Yeah, some really, really good stuff, actually. In fact, that reminds me, just seeing Uncharted The Lost Legacy, I heard some rumors about that possibly being in the PlayStation Plus lineup as well, but I don't know whether that's been shut down or anything yet.
I'm not sure. I know with the Battlefront 2, that was another rumored one, but there was some kind of post that was then removed that had that as a placeholder, and that's why I think people are thinking that one instead.
Yeah, because Lost Legacy was all... I think, even though it's like obviously a lot shorter to get standalone DLC, I preferred Lost Legacy to Uncharted 4. I thought it was really, really cool. I think the two characters, Chloe and Nadine, have such great chemistry, and it was really, 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 really great fun, I thought.
Yeah, no, I really dug that DLC or like standalone one. It was really dope. And then a bunch of sales on PSVR too. There's like bundles for PSVR. There's a starter pack, which is like the cheapest way to do it. Looks like it's $200 in the UK, and then still around $205 US. That one looks like it's not released until June 18th to June 22nd on Amazon. So it's got like a window of time. But that's maybe the cheapest version of PSVR that I've seen.
Well, I've just seen. We've got a place called. I don't know. Do you guys have Argos? And I don't think you. I mean, Argos sounds like a really British name. Like,
yeah, I think you have a cousin named that, but no, we don't have it.
But they've got a PlayStation VR Mega Pack, which includes PlayStation World, Skyrim VR, Astrobot, Resident Evil 7, and Everybody's Golf VR with the camera for £230, which is really, really good.
Dang, that is an awesome deal.
Really, really good deal. I am tempted, but not tempted enough.
No, yeah, and we talked about it before. Like now with my PC, if I'm going to spend money in VR, I'm going to try to get something so I can have, so I can play Half-Life Alyx, like a Quest or something like that.
Yeah, so I can play Half-Life Alyx and pour beer all over my head.
Right. Yeah, break bottles on my head and try and drink them. Alrighty, awesome, Callum. Yeah, that's it for us this week. We'll end it there. Where can they find you online?
Bear Monroe at Twitter is where I spout most of my rubbish, so that's probably the best place.
Nice. So you can keep up with the show on Plastic Art Pod on Twitter as well. That's it for us this week. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
See you later.
You're too late. I've already summoned meteor.
Okay, let's go.